Thanks for stopping by today. Today we're going to talk about making some turret jigs for your PiBurn Grip turned vertically for your fiber laser. LightBurn has released a beta version 14.0 that has a bunch of new features, and one of those features is the repeat marking feature. And it's basically designed so you can make jigs like this, be able to load up those jigs and have that turret advance each one of your pieces of material and automatically do the marking on it. It's a great feature. It's not hard to set up at all in LightBurn. I'm going to show you that today from start to finish. But before we get into that, I'm going to show you how to lay this middle part and this jig out. You got to make sure that you get these holes spaced properly or it won't work. So we're going to do that first. We're going to jump into LightBurn. I'm going to show you how I laid this out. The other thing I'm going to tell you is when you get this middle part figured out, you want to break it out and save it separately. Because when you want to make another different kind of jig for pencils or whatever you're doing, coins, business cards, whatever it is, if you can grab that design and put it in the middle of a different jig, all of the work's done for you. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. It's a lot easier than you think. Let's jump into LightBurn and knock this design out. We're going to design the back plate first, and so this is what we're going to end up with. I'll show you how to lay this out right quick. This is going to be a 10-inch circle for the outside. The inside black circle is going to be 2.5 inches. These little red circles are about 2.56 inches in diameter. Those fit really nicely in the 1/2 inch for your little rubber fingers that go through your jig from the grip. So let's go ahead and set this up real quick. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select my 2.5 inch circle first. I'm going to hold the shift key down, hold my outside circle, and we're going to center that. I'm going to do the same thing with this little bitty circle is just a pivot point, and you'll see how I use it here in just a minute. So I'm going to select it first. I'm going to select the 2.5 inch circle and center that up. So now we have this centered with this that's centered with this. Next, we're going to go ahead and select what we're going to cut out, which is a little 2.56 inch circle. I'm going to hold down the shift key, select the 2.5 inch circle. I'm going to say put it in the middle vertically, and then go ahead and put it right at the very top of this circle here. And now we've got what we need so we can lay out these 3 circles. So if this is 360 degrees, this circle, and we basically divide that by 3, each one of these openings is going to be 120 degrees apart. And you need to know that, so when you use the vertical or the circular array tool over here, it'll give you the right layout. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to deselect that. And so how the circular array tool works is if I want to take this shape and wrap it around this shape, it depends on how you select your shapes. So I'm going to select what I'm going to cut out first, and then I'm going to hold the shift key down. And what you're saying is I want you to take this shape and wrap it around this axis. And so once I have those 2 shapes selected, with the bigger shape being selected first, I'm going to come over here to the rotary tool, and let's take a look at what we got here. Maybe, there we go. So we've got 3 copies. Basically, we copied this red shape 3 times, and what we want to be able to do is that it starts at 0, it ends at 360, and you'll want to have it equally at 3. And it should give you 120 steps apart. Okay? That will give you your correct spacing. So you're going to have 0, 360, 120, and you're going to have 3 copies. All of these are going to be turned on, and you're going to say OK. That will give you the correct layout. And at that point, we're ready to cut out this back plate. What I would certainly do is group all this. First thing, before I would do that, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to set this aside because we want this little layout for later. When we might want to generate a different jig, we could just put this layout in the center of any other jig and you're good to go. Okay, to save some time, what I did is I duplicated this, brought it over here, ungrouped it, grew my 10-inch circle to 11.5 inches. So I went from 10 inches to 11.5 inches. And I certainly kept this the same, so they all matched up. And at this point, all I've got to do is now measure my, this is for like metal business cards. The ones that I have measured 2.12 by 3.38. And what I would do is I would come in here, the first thing I'm going to do, and this is kind of the critical part from a layout perspective. So I'm going to just bring this in and I'm going to shift and hold down this and say put it in the vertically in the middle, which it is. And then I'm going to come down here. And really, it doesn't much matter where you put it. The bottom line is you want to have a little meat around, and you could actually do this as an octagon too if you wanted. But one thing that we absolutely got to make sure that is lined up is take that, select that, and make sure this is in line with this, because that's going to be important when we go to line it up in laser. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to select my business card outline. I'm going to hold the shift key down and this little center point. So I'm saying wrap this shape around this axis. And we're going to go here. And because we want more than 3, we're going to go ahead and say I want 6. Now you can see that's not going to work out real good because these are all going to join together and we're going to cut things out. So what we're going to do is we're going to cancel that. We're going to take this and we're going to move it up just a little bit. Like so. We're going to try it again. So we'll select the pivot point, go here, go to 6. And there we go. We've got enough meat around. See, there's enough wood to hold this all the way around. So at this point, we'd say okay. We'd group it and we would cut this shape out. And we would take this shape, I'll show you how it looks. So if I group this here and I put it over, I'm going to just turn this a different color just so you can see it a little bit better. We'll take this and place it over this. And you can see that there's an opening right here where you can stick your finger through to get these cards out. And we have our jig made. So at this point, you're going to cut this out. You're going to take this and glue it on top of this, and you've got yourself a jig made. Next, we'll go ahead and jump over to the fiber side of, this is all CO2 work, remember. So I've got my CO2 desktop. We're going to jump over to the fiber laser and the fiber desktop. And I'll show you how to line this up and get these marked. Okay, we've got our jig made. I've got it placed onto the grip. The grip is just loose right now. I don't have it positioned yet. We're going to go ahead and what I've done is I've generated an outline on the fiber side of a LightBurn, and we're going to go ahead and frame that. And that's how we're going to line this up. So this is real easy to line up. We're going to go ahead and superimpose the outline of the business card, and we're going to line that up, and that's all it's going to take, and off we go. So next we'll jump into LightBurn on the fiber side, get our outline generated, get it lined up, and we'll get this jig set up where it needs to be. Now, if this was going to be a production run, we would get it all lined up and then I would bolt it down. That way, when I'm taking these in or out, I wouldn't be moving this jig around at all. So that's how easy it is to set up. Let's jump into LightBurn and we'll get the outline taken care of. Okay, you notice I'm over here on the fiber side of LightBurn. I'm going to be doing this with a 210 lens. All I've done is generated a rectangle that represents the perimeter of my business card opening for my jig, and then I've got a little design in the middle. And so all we're going to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and highlight this and then go ahead and hit frame. That'll put that, that'll superimpose this outline on our jig, and we'll go ahead and line things up. So that's what we'll do next. So all I've done is selected the outline, hit frame, and now we'll go ahead and line the jig up. Okay, so I've got the, you can see the perimeter of our outline of our business card is being superimposed on our jig. And now what we've got to do, we can do one of two things. We can either move the whole setup here, there, or you can actually use your arrow keys. And if you needed to drive that much further so you could close the door here, you could certainly do that. But all we're doing here is we're going to make sure that all of the lines are lined up that are on the inside of that jig. Just like that. Now, if this was going to be a production run, I would go ahead and bolt this to the base, and that way we'd be good to go. If I wanted to make sure that this actually was inside the door, all I could do is I could go ahead and move this way, and then I could just push this that much further that way, and now I can close the door on my cabinet. But you can see that it's not hard to get lined up. So there you go, we're lined up, we're ready to go. The next thing we're going to do is put some cards in this and do a test run. Okay, we've got our safety equipment on, we've done a preview, and I think we're ready to fire this thing off. So I'm going to go ahead and push start. Just like that, we've got 6 logos done. So you've seen the whole process. I hope this information helps out. Well, as you can see, it's really not too tough to build these turret jigs. And I think once you get started with your PiBurn grip in the vertical position and doing stuff like this, I think the sky's the limit. I really appreciate LightBurn creating this feature in the latest version. I'm going to be using it a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you do me a favor, hit the thumbs up if you like the content. Subscribe if you haven't, and if you have the ability, hit that thanks button and contribute to the channel. It's those that are making this content possible. Sure appreciate your time. Have a great day.